Your hex gates have done wonders for our city, brought scholars from distant lands, reignited passions in arts and science.
So now Heimerdinger thinks Hextech is good. Well, I guess he was wrong. But isn't he an authority figure on magic? Wasn't he so assured in his own experience, and didn't he witness it firsthand? Weren't we supposed to interpret Jayce's and Viktor's actions in Act 1 through his lens of experience and authority? So why is Hextech good? It obviously didn't fix Piltover inequality problems or help the Undercity. So why is it good now? Is it maybe because it didn't change Piltover, the city of progress? Thankfully, we don't have to pay too much attention to this turn of events. Heimerdinger might have not been wrong after all. Hextech didn't destroy Piltover, but we have a new technology, Hexcore, which is just the core of Hextech if you like pawns. At first, Hexcore might seem a pretty clutch and uplifting storyline, albeit Viktor and Jayce can't figure out how to make it work, so they ask Heimerdinger for help. And maybe they could figure it out themselves, but the person that solved it initially inconveniently passed out, so Still, as a story idea, a person dying from preventable disease caused by their government management of pollution finds a way, maybe, to save himself. Pretty cool, right? And maybe even others, since as we read in supplementary material, and if you don't play LoL, unlike me, for 10 years, you might not have gotten into it. There was like a supplementary material called Council Archives, which had little notes of that each character made. In Caitlyn's archives, we can see that many children of the Undercity are afflicted with this kind of issues and sometimes can seek out quite shady treatments. But of course, this is a folly. Those who are familiar with the lore already know this whole tampering with unknown powers will lead to the glorious evolution in case of Viktor, something that is at best vague in lore, which Arcane maybe or maybe not follows. I think it follows it closer than some people might think. But anyway, this glorious evolution has this old transhumanism vibe. And we already know it has started because we get a quick recap of some ideas of transhumanism just before.
Incredible. This is unlike anything we've ever seen, Jayce. It could be the key to augmenting physiology, extending life, curing you.
Yeah, right. So Hexcore is probably for certain evil, or at least it is very scary and should not be tampered with. And so says Heimerdinger, while being presented with the Hexcore, he already knows what's happening.
There are stories of healing magic. Our samples thus far perished by...
You must destroy it.
So this is time for our little quiz. Just a disclaimer, I won't be able to help you. Do you think Hexcore should be destroyed? Yes or no? Let's rephrase it. It's not it. Hexcore is not an object here. It is a possibility for a cure to save a life with technology.
Please, if ever you've put faith in my guidance, hear me now. I've seen nations destroyed by a single seed, and it looked exactly like this.
Would you go with Heimerdinger's advice? Yes or no? If you answered yes, who would you sacrifice for a nation? A family member? A friend? A work colleague? A person on the street? How many people would you be willing to deny a cure just in case a nation is destroyed? What does Heimerdinger mean when he says nation? Does he mean people as nation, or the idea of a nation like a Piltover, the bastion of enlightenment? How sure are you he means actual lives? Do you think Hexcore must be destroyed?
It's that thing. It must be destroyed.
Wait, no, I won't let you.
Well, that's one possible answer.
Jayce, this is a violation of the Ethos. I will have it destroyed one way or another.
Would you go against the Ethos? Yes or no? If no, describe why. What is Piltover's ethos of progress? What should be technological ethos of a nation? Would you want to live in a nation whose ethos of progress denies people possibility of a cure for an illness its indifference caused, just in case it destroys that nation? What are the right answers? You have to decide for yourself. Arcane is a story that will truly present both sides of an argument for every question asked. On one hand, you can agree with the father of Piltover that, yes, sometimes sacrificing some lives might be necessary, for example, to ensure ongoing existence of nations, like Piltover. On the other hand, you can agree with Jayce that saving lives is priority, even if it might destroy nations.
You would sacrifice your life's work?
If you agreed with Heimerdinger to destroy Hexcore, there's truly a great payoff for all these prophecies in Act 3. Yes, his first-hand account of what he's seen is a painting. It is also in a book that Jayce has, which is kind of foreshadowed already in the painterly execution of the flashback that is completely static and looks like a painting, so it was a very weird thing for me the first time I watched it. The fact that the memory or things he is recalling in both instances are basically just the same animation with slightly different background overlaid, like blue and red. But if you look at in his eyes reflection, there's only one painting, it's the blue one. Even with the Hexcore, the thing that is reflected in his eyes is the blue painting. Going on a limb here that Kid Jayce must have found this story pretty inspirational since he drew Super Hammerman. Because, as we've seen, magic stones will magically save lives with magic when turned into magic hammer cannons. But that's a story for another day. This is why we should teach SDS to engineers. Anyway, I wouldn't think too deep about your answers even if you felt conflicted on some of them. No one, absolutely no one, can blame you for doing nothing. Or at least you have a plausible deniability. Moral of this story: trust the authority figures, everyone. They always want only the best for you. Okay, at this point I was laughing a bit because Heimerdinger was around for a lot of ending of nations. I mean, like the first Act 1 prophecy of Hextech is okay setup, but the second one is kind of like pulling a leg. Are you gonna believe him again? Hussein would choose a vague idea of a nation over saving real lives and agree with him. The framing of the visuals is really persuasive though. Just like framing of first act was really a great kid's adventure until it wasn't. Even more, it should be persuasive. Heimerdinger has been around for 200 years in political and academic sphere of Piltover. A person with this much experience would have to be very skilled in rhetorics to continuously stay in power. And maybe Heimerdinger will have a huge change of perspective and behavior because of meeting Echo.
I've seen nations destroyed by a single seed, and it looked exactly like this.
Is that a real tree?
Pretty cool, huh? When I first saw it, I knew this was the place. If a single seed can make it down here, so could we.
Let's decide how that goes. Not like Heimerdinger ever changed his opinion on present-day technology. or if something is dangerous, or about a person, or whatever this is. I guess he's just unsure about the gesture, and he's such a kind, understanding man if you disagree with his advice.
I will have it destroyed one way or another.
That's your opinion. We'll see if the council agrees.
Counselors, we have lost our way. This city was founded to be a bastion of enlightenment, in a world that cannibalized itself over power and pride. But we've forgotten, loosened our morals in favor of comfort and convenience, traded honor for prestige.
Oh yeah, this speech is his bid to get counselors to back him to destroy Hexcore. We would know that more clearly, but Jayce just doesn't let him finish. Too bad that at this point the counselors are already more interested in being Hextech partners. Economic lobbying is a big right, Heimerdinger? It's not like his speech conveniently seemed right on point, as if he knew about the corruption going behind his back. And, financial incentives are the only way to get something done in Piltover. The funniest part is Jayce will only understand this after going to the Undercity. By extension, we as the viewers won't be sure of it until the end of the season. And you have the right to think that this is digging really deep into a possible subtext of a scene that is just a setup on how dangerous Hexcore is, right? It's not like this is a part of an overall theme and this story on a deeper level about what ideals or words like nation or progress are worth if they don't encompass real lives. It's not like this question plays a pivotal role in the story at any point in which you'll see the same choice being presented again, a nation or a life. Unless you're the story mob that
I never would have given you to them. Not for anything.
and this best boy of Zaun issues with him.
After Vander died, Silco flooded the lanes with shimmer. He didn't care what it did to people.
Or even Jayce meeting Silco, where he agrees to destroy integrity of the city-state of Piltover by separating Piltover and its Undercity to save Undercity lives. The biggest issue is, Jayce being from Piltover completely miscalculates what is the meaning of nation in Silco's Nation of Zaun project. It's not a conceptual statehood, but the people. Word nation means different things to different characters in this story. So does legacy and progress. Also, Jayce is so jaded, so it's not progress, but progress in parentheses. Is Silco a perfect founding father? Of course not. Far from it. He is a broken dreamer that never let go of the dream. However imperfectly, he built Undercity's identity, so it's a separate nation in all but an official name. So yeah, Jayce basically jinxed his own plan here because the dialogue writing of Arcane is just this good on many levels.